Olá, tudo bem? This is Emma from Portuguese Language Lessons, and here's a short video to talk you through how to make indirect speech in European Portuguese. As usual, I've put together a little worksheet to help explain all of this. And at the beginning here, we've got some verbs, because often the deal with the reported speech is we've got to change our verbs. So here on the left, where I put match the verb forms together, we've got some verbs in different tenses, and then we've got the verbs changed into the tenses they would become in indirect speech. So compraste becomes tinha comprado. Gostava becomes gostaria. Está, estava. Parece, parecia. Vais, ias. Estará, estaria. Querem, queriam. Okay? So we can see the verbs are moving back to a further past tense. I'll explain better exactly the changes shortly. And here on the right, we've got some sentences already in indirect speech. So in the first one, in the original sentence, the person said compraste. So in the reported speech, it will become Ela perguntou onde tinha comprado aquele livro. She asked where he had bought that book. Let's put L in to make that clearer. Then, in the second one, in the original sentence, was gostava. So, in the indirect speech, it's ele diz que gostaria de mudar de casa. He said that he would like to move house. And in três, in the original sentence, we've got está, is. So in the indirect speech, ela perguntou o que a mãe dele estava a fazer ali. She asked what their mother was doing there, her mother. In quatro, in the original sentence, we have parece, and in the transformed to indirect speech, we've got ele diz que não lhe parecia boa ideia. He said that it didn't seem like a good idea to him. And in cinco, we've got in the original sentence vais, and in indirect speech becomes ela perguntou quando é que ias às compras. She asked when you were going shopping. Seis. In the original, we've got estará. So in the indirect speech, ele diz que o museu estaria fechado no domingo seguinte. She said that the museum would be closed on the following Sunday. And in sete, querem, in the original sentence, so in the indirect speech, ela perguntou se queriam beber alguma coisa. She asked if they would like to drink anything. Maybe you haven't thought much about indirect speech in English, so it might well be worth you thinking about when you would talk about what other people have said and how we change the words that we use when we're telling people about what we have heard. Because obviously, usually the time and the place and the people that we're talking about changes. So logically, we change our grammar to take this into account. And I usually find when we're doing this in a real life situation, we manage to do it okay because in our heads we're aware of the different people, different time, different place. And so when we're doing exercises and activities to practice this, it can be helpful to think of it in that way, that the time and the place and the person has changed. Okay, so here are the reports of changing the direct actual speech to the indirect because talking to a different person. So as I was just saying, times change to later, person speaking and location. So for the verbs, tenses, go back. Present tenses, está, parece, vais, etc. becomes estava, parecia, ias, to the imperfeito always. The past, the perfeito, PPI, like compraste, becomes the past perfect, tinha comprado. Okay, so going back in time. The future, estará, becomes conditional, estaria, like in English, will be, would be. The imperfeito, here we've got gostava, meaning would like. Here it becomes conditional, gostaria. Remember, when you've got two verbs together, vai comprar, gosto de cozinhar, only change the first one, okay? The second one remains in the infinitive. And like I said before, other aspects have changed, like the place and the time, we will change other words. Aqui to ali, cá to lá, ontem no dia anterior, etc. These logically have to change, as well as possessives, meios, to saio, and the demonstratives, isso to aquilo. Usually we introduce reports with ele, ela, whoever, either perguntou, se, onde, que, disse, que, respondeu, que. Usually if you're saying said that, answered that, we need to put the word que in. It stays there. So going back to the sentences above, we've got the original sentences and the transformed sentences. So, onde compraste aquele livro? Ela perguntou onde tinha comprado aquele livro. Okay, so I put the L in to make it clear. Gostava de mudar de casa. Ele disse que gostaria de mudar de casa. O que é que a tua mãe está a fazer aqui? Ela perguntou o que é que a mãe dele estava a fazer ali. Isto não me parece boa ideia. Ele disse que não lhe parecia boa ideia. Quando é que vais às compras? Ela perguntou quando é que ias às compras. O museu estará fechado no próximo domingo. Ele disse que o museu estaria fechado no domingo seguinte. Querem beber alguma coisa? Ela perguntou se queriam, beber alguma coisa. Okay, so that's it for now. I hope that's made it clear and helpful for you with this indirect speech. Like I said, think carefully about what you do in English or your native language for making these changes. They're very similar in Portuguese. Okay, ciao ciao!